Hey there, Breakfast Clubbers. Welcome to another week's episode of Back Issue Breakfast Club. I'm your host, Kelly Guentner, and this is, again, Back Issue Breakfast Club as part of the Back of the Cereal Box podcast. And this week, we're going to be focusing on Mark Waid and Chris Samnee's Black Widow. I hope you're all not Black Widowed out. I'm very much on a Black Widow kick. So this week and next, you're going to be getting a Black Widow 1-2 punch. All right, then. So before we get into this particular book, which, by the way, nothing in this book made me want to bleach my brain. So this is an improvement. This is an improvement. I was hoping Mark Waid would not let me down. If he had, I was probably going to have to stop buying Black Widow books for a while. Yes. But before we get into this particular book, I would like to share some Black Widow trivia that is just rolling around in my noggin. But I also want to give a shout out to some of our commenters. First of all, thank you to all of you who gave my Phoenix sister Krayley a warm welcome last week. Wasn't she great, folks? There's a reason why I love this girl, and she is my sister. So thank you all for that. I want to give Clyde a shout out. He comments every week. Clyde is basically my cosplay uncle, and I love him. And he commented on my last Black Widow video about how his favorite stories were her very early appearances when she was more of a villain and kind of seduced Hawkeye over to the dark side. And I have read flashbacks of those times, but I have not read the original storylines of those times, and I really want to pick those up. And then also he mentioned how her runs with Daredevil, which, side note, for those of you who don't know, Black Widow and Daredevil were hot and heavy for a while there in the 90s. And they also just made a great partnership, and they really played off each other well. So that was fun. A few other bits of Black Widow trivia for anyone who didn't know. Alexei in the comics is not her adoptive father. He is her husband. So as a friend of mine said, he may not be her adoptive father, but there's a chance she called him daddy. And if I had to hear that joke, you'll have to get that stuck in your brain. You're welcome. Also, thank you to my friend Brandon for that awful brain nugget. And yet another thing to know about Black Widow is that she's definitely older in the comics and in the MCU. She got a version of the super soldier serum, which they kind of hinted at her possibly getting in the movie. I guess it's a spoiler, but it's also debatable. So she ages really slowly. And also people were kind of upset that the movie didn't address her being daughter of Ivan as referenced in Endgame by Red Skull. That was a really neat little Easter egg because Ivan in the comics is her father figure. He's a man who rescued her as a child and stuck by her side for quite a bit of her life. He was kind of her older, again, father figure. He served as her chauffeur, not really her bodyguard because she didn't need a bodyguard, but like kind of her partner. You know, he was there for her as she was going through her Red Room training. He defected with her. So it was not Ivan Vanko, Whiplash, never her father. I don't think they were referencing that in the movie. So that's my little nerdy 3 minutes. Sorry, y'all. Got a lot of nerdiness to share this week, I guess. So, Black Widow by Mark Waid. Also, a little bit of backstory that you would want to know going into this is that Black Widow and Bucky are an on-again, off-again item in the Marvel Comics, and that does kind of feature into the story where They are currently off again at the start of the story because she has had her memories of him erased. As you do, you know, it's comics. So the story starts out with Natasha. Natasha's working for S.H.I.E.L.D. and she is just busting out of there, and you just get this absolutely fantastic action piece. Like, the artwork in this comic is just dynamic. It's action-packed, and just look at this. Like, Natasha's just flying through the air and just gives that guy a cheeky little kiss before she just dives off. And by the way, Mark Waid, Chris Samnee, and Matthew Wilson were actually thanked in the credits of the Black Widow movie. And you could, if you've seen the movie and then you read this, you can see the influences. It's definitely not directly, but you definitely see a lot of the blueprints are there. So the story goes on where she's basically being blackmailed by this all-knowing supervillain who somehow knows one of her deepest, darkest secrets, which, knowing the Black Widow, there's a lot of deep, dark secrets there, but this is one that she's really, some of the red in her ledger that she's not proud of. She does not want to come to light. So she ends up doing what he asks, and it leads her to discovering that the Red Room is still active. And she just goes from there, and the story, it got a little bit of a mystery as she's trying to figure out who the guy is who's blackmailing her, how he got this information about her, and then, but it's also got the personal ties where her secret affects another one of her Avengers partners, and then, of course, there's a little bit of the romance aspect, but not too much because she's basically like, okay, Bucky, yeah, once things start happening with them, she's like, yeah, I care about you, but I don't have time for romance right now, which I kind of love that. That's and again, that could be a little bit of a spoiler, but also it sets the tone for the book, so you can forgive me for that spoiler. This is definitely one of my favorite Black Widow stories, of all the Black Widow stories that I've read. It's Mark Waid. What do you expect? Everything Mark Waid touches is gold so far. Like, if you have a Mark Waid story that you did not like, leave it in the comments because I've yet to find one. Prove me wrong here. Like, prove me wrong here. Or if you have a Mark Waid story that you love, talk in the comments about how brilliant this man is, because apparently this is the Mark Waid show. Also, talk in the comments about how you felt about the Black Widow movie. There are a lot of feelings going on around that movie. Not all of them good, which is fine. Personally, I liked it. There were some things I didn't like. I love Florence Pugh as Yelena. I also want to hear about what you're reading this week. What characters are you excited about this week? What characters do you think I should read next? I promise that this will not be all Black Widow all the time. The next week, spoilers, will definitely be another Black Widow story because I'm on a kick. And then after that, who knows? Well, I know, but it won't be Black Widow. So, I want to hear from you. Do all the things. Hit that like button, share this with a few hundred of your closest friends, and comment. I love comments. They make my day. So thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with me rambling a little more than usual. And I hope you all have a great week.